everyone, this is Haven Ditko. I was asked about doing a tutorial on the pen tool. The pen tool can be used for so many things, but making selections with it is probably its number one function. The problem with the pen tool is that there's lots of things you can do with it, and it can be pretty intimidating sometimes. I'm going to go through cutting this banner out from the pink background, and I'm going to be using a variety of the tools associated with the pen tool. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we can do is hit P on our keyboard to pull up the pen tool, or you can simply choose it over here in the toolbox. If you come to the toolbox and you right-click on the pen, you'll see that we have the pen tool and the Freeform Pen Tool. The Freeform Pen Tool has gotten a lot better with the newer version of Photoshop. It used to give us way too many nibs or too many anchor points when we used it, but let's see how it works. So coming in here, you'll see that I have an asterisk first off next to my nib, and that's what the actual pen cursor is called. It's called a nib. The asterisk means that I'm going to start a new path. Anytime you see this asterisk, that's what it's telling you, that I'm about ready to start a new path. So I'm going to come here and click, and holding down my left mouse button, I will actually, why did that not work right? Because I didn't click on Freeform. This one, I should have known it when I saw the asterisk. I thought that changed with the version 2 for a second. This one has a little line segment next to the nib. So if I left mouse click and I begin to draw out my selection, it's pretty good, as you can see. I'm getting a nice line, except it's really hard to draw with your mouse sometimes. If you have a pen, it's usually a little bit easier. But watch what happens when I get to the curvy parts, as opposed to, whoops, that's a really bad one. I'll lift my mouse up. Do you see, I get quite a few of these control points. I don't really want nor need that many, because you need to adjust each one of them. And so sometimes having more points to adjust is a lot more work than it has to be. As you can see, I've probably got 6 of them right here, another 6, 14 of them going across the top, when all I really need is like 3 or 4. It's very time consuming to adjust this many of them. So although the Freeform tool is nice, it's not always the best choice. So I'm going to go ahead and click off of that. I'm going to come to my path panel, which is up here, and I'm going to grab this work path and I'm going to drag it to the garbage. And it's gone. Okay, so I want to stay on this path panel though, because I want you to see what happens. The minute we begin a path, it has created a work path in this panel. I'm going to come over here and right mouse click, and I'm going to choose my pen tool this time. Now you'll see I get that asterisk I was talking about. The first click that I make is called a corner point, and it's just a corner point because it's the beginning of my line. When I come over here, you'll see that I have nothing by my nib now, no little symbols, and I am free to left mouse click my next point. If I just left mouse click and move my mouse, there are no handles created with it. If I left mouse click and drag my mouse a little bit, I will get a handle on each side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Left click and drag, and now I have these 2 handles. What these handles do is they adjust the curve that connects this control point to the one before it and also the one that will come after. So I'm going to come here, left click, and now you can see I have another control point with two handles on it. Don't worry about this section, we're going to fix this in a minute. Now what I can do is I can come through my entire drawing, left mouse clicking and dragging, and even slightly adjusting as I go to different control handles to try and get what I want. So you'll see I'm just clicking and clicking and clicking. Now if I click off of this, I can actually lose my entire path selection. So what I like to do is before I lose this selection, I like to double click on it. It's going to come up with a save path and name. Simply renaming it saves it, so I can click OK, or you can name it anything you like, of course. And now this path is saved. There's a couple of issues from doing that. Nothing we can't fix right away though. You'll see that my cursor has an asterisk by it again, which means that I'm going to be creating a new path, which I don't want to do. I want to continue working on this one. Now, if I hover over this, you see I get a plus sign. That means that I can actually left click and add a control point. And this control point, even without dragging my mouse to the side, creates two handles anyway. So let me show you down here. Plus sign, left click, and it actually has its two handles. Now if I come near, see I have my asterisk here, but if I come to my last control point I made, I get this little symbol that has a path or a control point on it with two line segments coming out of it. I can then click on that one, and that is given a link back to my pen tool, and now I can continue on making these as I need them. So these are not going to be really great. I just want to actually do this to show you how it works. Now the last thing that we have is the ability to close this path. And so when you get to the last one, you'll see a little circle next to my nib. So if I click on that, it will close the path. And there we go. Alright, so that's pretty good. I'm pretty much set to go and clean this up now. So the tool that's really handy is the control key. When you click on the control key, the nib turns into a white arrow. This white arrow allows you to select, actually it's not going to do it. There we go. It's going to allow you to select individual points to move around. It's also going to let you select your handle ends to move around. If you try to do it with your pen tool, you end up deleting these points or adding points or beginning new segments, and that can get really confusing, especially if you're not used to what you're doing. So just remember that to really adjust anything, you want to see the white arrow, and you can get that on the fly by holding the control key. So now I can come here and I can adjust these as I want to. Now if we come down here, if you move one control point, the other one moves with it. Do you see that? Well, maybe that's not exactly what I want. So I have the ability, and actually this one doesn't have, this is another good point actually. This one, and let me zoom in. This control point here doesn't have two handlers on it. Do you see that? It only has one coming out of this side, and that would be pretty much a pain in the butt to try and adjust both sides. So what you can do to get a handle on this one is holding the white arrow coming here and clicking on this line, it will give you that second handle. I can now come here and adjust these the way that I want to get the angle I want. Now, what if, let's say, I don't want to be able to adjust this one anymore, because you'll see that as I adjust one side, it adjusts the other side, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve this way, move my control point, and then I'm going to take the handle here and I'm going to drag it straight down and tuck it in to the control point as best as I can. And now when I move this free one, you'll see the one on top barely gets adjusted at all. And now I can come here to this side, and this control point I can fix as well. And I can work it until I get a nice curve here. I can again come down to this one, holding my control key, adjust the handles the way that I want, and the control points. That's pretty good. Now to adjust this one, you'll see it has to move the other side. So I'm going to take this control point with it adjusted and carefully work it into, or this handle, work it into its control point. And then this one I'm free to adjust on its own. And this one I can adjust to get this all to fit just right. I'll move it into this a little bit so you can see it better. And that's actually another really good tip, is that when you are making this point, this line, you don't really want it to encompass the background color. It's not going to give you a clean selection. So I would take this and move it until I'm clipping out any of the background. And you can work and tweak as much as you want on this as well. And just move these around until you get the selection you want. And like I said, this is kind of messy. I don't want to bore you with this. So and this one I did extra on accident. Let me just delete that one. And it's not deleting for me. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll click back on this one here and begin to adjust this line. And pull this one out a little bit. Pull this one back in. As you can see, it's a pulling game. You have to really mess around with your handles and get them to go where you want them to go. Always moving around all three parts of it is really helpful. You're not limited to just working with one side or one thing. Work with all of them. Okay, so let me zoom out here for a second. And it's really messy, isn't it? That's okay. We're gonna just clean this up a tiny bit just so that we have something somewhat decent to look at by the time we're done with it. Not very perfect, but you can see how much fun this is, though, really. I love making these. And again, stay inside the outline if you can. And that's because, again, you'll get better results. And you can see that even though this was quite a mess, I'm actually cleaning it up fairly quickly. Let me zoom out just a little bit more. Alright, there we go. So now I can go ahead and click off of that and click, I clicked off of it in the panel. And now if I click inside the actual thumbnail, I can actually see a nice clear view of what my path is without any of the handles or control points in the way. Alright, and that's pretty much what I want. So I'm going to go to the layers section now, and I'm going to right click in this background area, and actually and clicking on the, well, it's not working quite the way that I wanted it to. Clicking there, and where is my make selection? There we go. Is it there? Nope. Let me go back to the paths. There we go. Alright, so you can do this in the layers panel in GIMP, obviously not in Photoshop. So I'm right clicking on the background here, and now I have make selection. You have other things that you can do, but make selection is what we're doing today. And you get this dialog box where you can feather the edge if you wanted to, do a few other choices. Just stick with what the defaults are for now and click OK. And now you can see the dashed line showing you a clear selection. It's not a path anymore. So in the layers panel, because it is a selection, I can come down to this button, which is create a mask, and add a mask layer. You see that? If I click on it, a mask is created, which will hide all of the background except for what we've selected, and that would be the banner. So now we have a nice banner cut out, and actually it's not too bad for as quick as I've done. Now if you right click on the actual mask and you go ahead and apply layer mask, you'll see that now it's just one image. It's always important to remember that clicking on the background brings you one thing. Clicking on either layer brings you another thing. I don't mean layer, thumbnail. Any of the thumbnails will give you different things. So there you go. That is how to use the pen tool to make a simple selection. And I hope that you guys subscribe to the channel and like us and share the links, and happy creating.